The argument started small but quickly escalated. They fought about money, about the future, about whether or not they were making the right decisions. For the first time in a long while, Vicky began to doubt their partnership, not just in business but in love as well. One day, while attending a networking event, Vicky met someone who would change everything. A wealthy businessman named Mr. Sakandi. He was charismatic, successful, and seemed genuinely interested in her work. Unlike the other investors, Mr. Sakandi wasn't pushy or demanding. He offered to mentor her, providing guidance and resources without asking for anything in return. At least not yet. Vicky was intrigued. She hadn't felt this level of excitement about an opportunity since the early days of her business. When she mentioned Mr. Sakandi to David, however, he was skeptical. "Be careful," he warned. "No one offers something for nothing." But Vicky's mind was already racing with possibilities. Could this be the chance she had been waiting for? Against David's advice, Vicky decided to meet with Mr. Sakandi in private. They met at an upscale restaurant in the heart of Soweto, where Mr. Sakandi listened to Vicky's vision for her business with genuine interest. He asked thoughtful questions and offered insightful advice, all while making it clear that he believed in her potential. "I don't want to rush you," he said, smiling warmly. "But if you ever decide you want to take your business to the next level, I'm here to help. No strings attached." Vicky felt a flutter of excitement. This could be it, the opportunity she had been waiting for. But as she left the restaurant, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that David might be right. Could she trust Mr. Sakandi, or was this too good to be true? After her secret meeting with Mr. Sakandi, guilt began to gnaw at Vicky. She had always been honest with David, but now she was keeping something from him, and it didn't feel right. At the same time, she couldn't deny the allure of what Mr. Sakandi had offered. He had the connections, the resources, and the experience to help her take her business to new heights. But was she willing to risk everything she had built with David to pursue this opportunity? The question weighed heavily on her, and for the first time, she found herself questioning her loyalty, not just to the business, but to David as well. As the days passed, the tension between Vicky and David continued to grow. David could sense that something was off, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Vicky, meanwhile, was torn between her loyalty to David and her desire to pursue the opportunity that Mr. Sakandi had presented. Their once harmonious relationship began to unravel, and soon, they were arguing more than ever. Every conversation seemed to end in frustration, and Vicky found herself pulling away, both emotionally and physically. For the first time, she began to wonder if love and business could really coexist, or if the pursuit of wealth was destined to tear them apart. One evening, after a particularly heated argument, Vicky found herself standing at a crossroads, both literally and figuratively. She had just stormed out of David's apartment, her heart pounding with frustration. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she needed space to think. As she walked through the bustling streets of Soweto, she found herself standing in front of the building where she had met with Mr. Sakandi. She stared at the entrance for a long moment, wondering if she should go inside. Was this the path she was meant to take, or was it a dangerous detour? In that moment, Vicky realized that she had a choice to make, a choice that would determine the future of her business, her relationship with David, and her life. The next day, Vicky couldn't hold it in any longer. She met David at their usual cafe and, with a heavy heart, confessed everything. The secret meetings with Mr. Sakandi, the offer he had made, and the doubts that had been swirling in her mind for weeks. David was silent for a long time, his face a mask of disappointment and hurt. "Why didn't you tell me?" he finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know how," Vicky admitted. "I didn't want to lose what we've built together, but at the same time, I felt like I had to explore this opportunity. I'm sorry, David. I never meant to hurt you." David looked at her for a long moment before speaking. "I get it, Vicky. I really do. But this isn't just about the business anymore. It's about trust, and right now I'm not sure I can trust you." His words hit Vicky like a punch to the gut. She had known this conversation would be difficult, but hearing the pain in David's voice made her realize just how much she had jeopardized, not just their business, but their relationship as well. In the wake of their conversation, Vicky and David decided to take a break from both the business and each other. It was a painful decision, but they both knew it was necessary. The trust that had once been the foundation of their partnership had been fractured, and neither of them knew how to fix it. For the first time in years, Vicky found herself navigating the world alone. She threw herself into her work, determined to prove to herself and to David that she could succeed on her own. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. David, too, struggled with the separation. He missed Vicky more than he had expected, but his pride kept him from reaching out. He wasn't ready to forgive her, not yet. Despite the turmoil in her personal life, Vicky's business continued to grow. With Mr. Sakandi's mentorship, she began to attract high-profile clients and expand her brand beyond Soweto. Her designs were featured in national fashion shows, and she even received offers to collaborate with international brands. But with every success, Vicky felt a growing emptiness. She had achieved everything she had once dreamed of, but it didn't feel the way she had expected. Without David by her side, the victories felt hollow. She had chosen wealth and success, but in doing so, she had lost the one person who had truly understood her. While Vicky was climbing the ranks of the fashion world, David was carving out his own path in the tech industry. He had always been passionate about using technology to help small businesses, and with the extra time on his hands, he began developing a platform that could do just that. His hard work paid off. Within a few months, his platform gained traction, and he started receiving offers from investors who believed in his vision. David was finally starting to achieve the success he had always dreamed of, but like Vicky, he couldn't fully enjoy it. Something was missing. Months passed, and Vicky and David remained apart, each focused on their own careers. But one day, fate brought them back together. Vicky was attending a tech conference to network with potential clients, and to her surprise, David was one of the keynote speakers. Their eyes met across the crowded room, and for a brief moment, it felt like no time had passed at all. After the conference, they found themselves standing outside, awkwardly catching up on each other's lives. The conversation was polite, but beneath the surface, there was a lingering tension, unfinished business that neither of them could ignore. After their chance encounter, Vicky and David began talking again, slowly at first, then more frequently. They met for coffee, exchanged ideas about their respective businesses, and even offered each other advice. It was as if they had never been apart, but as they reconnected, the old feelings between them began to resurface. The chemistry that had once brought them together was still there, and despite everything that had happened, they couldn't deny the love that still lingered between them. As they spent more time together, it became clear that their feelings for each other hadn't faded. They both tried to keep things professional, but the unresolved emotions between them made it impossible. One evening, after a particularly long meeting, David finally broke the silence. "I never stopped loving you, Vicky," he admitted quietly. "Even when we were apart, I couldn't stop thinking about you." Vicky's heart raced. She had been waiting for this moment, but now that it was here, she wasn't sure how to respond. "I never stopped loving you either," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Despite their rekindled feelings, Vicky and David knew that getting back together wouldn't be easy. They had both changed in the months they had spent apart, and their businesses had taken them in different directions. Rebuilding their relationship would require more than just love. It would require trust, communication, and a willingness to compromise. But Vicky and David weren't the same people they had been before. They had both grown, both professionally and personally, and they weren't sure if they could fit back into each other's lives the way they had before. One day, after weeks of soul-searching, David made a bold move. He showed up at Vicky's apartment with a proposal, not just a romantic one, but a business one as well. "I know things haven't been easy between us," he said, his voice steady, "but I believe in us. I believe in what we can accomplish together, both in business and in life. Let's build something new together." Vicky was speechless. She had expected David to walk away, but here he was, offering her a second chance. It was everything she had ever wanted. But could she trust herself to take it? After a long conversation, Vicky and David decided to give their relationship another try. They both knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were willing to work through the challenges together. They agreed to take things slowly, focusing on rebuilding the trust that had been broken. As they navigated the complexities of their new relationship, they also began discussing ways to collaborate on their businesses. David's tech platform had the potential to help Vicky expand her brand, and Vicky's fashion expertise could open doors for David in the creative industry. Together, they were stronger than ever. With their relationship back on track, Vicky and David began working on a new project together, one that combined their passions for fashion and technology. They launched an online platform that allowed African designers to showcase their work to a global audience, providing them with the tools and resources they needed to succeed in the digital age. The platform quickly gained traction, attracting attention from investors, media outlets, and even international brands. For the first time, Vicky and David felt like they were truly building something meaningful, something that could make a difference in the world. As their new venture took off, Vicky and David found themselves balancing the demands of their growing business with the complexities of their relationship. They had learned from their past mistakes, and this time, they were committed to making things work. They set boundaries, ensuring that their business partnership didn't overshadow their romantic relationship. They made time for each other, prioritizing their love above all else. And as they grew closer, they realized that they didn't have to choose between love and wealth. They could have both. Just as things were beginning to fall into place, Mr. Sikandi re-entered Vicky's life. He had been keeping an eye on her progress, and now that her new platform was gaining attention, he was more interested than ever in investing. But this time, Vicky was different. She had learned from her past mistakes, and she wasn't willing to compromise her vision for the sake of money. She politely declined Mr. Sikandi's offer, confident in her ability to succeed without his help. David, too, was proud of her. For the first time, they both felt like they were in control of their destiny together. With Mr. Sikandi behind them, Vicky and David focused on expanding their platform. They brought on new designers, developed partnerships with local and international retailers, and even opened a physical showroom in Soweto. Their hard work paid off. Within a few months, their platform had become one of the leading online marketplaces for African fashion, attracting attention from influencers, celebrities, and media outlets around the world. But as their business grew, so did the challenges. Managing a successful platform was no easy task, and Vicky and David found themselves facing new obstacles every day. As their business continued to grow, Vicky and David found themselves facing new challenges, both professionally and personally. Managing a successful platform required long hours, constant innovation, and the ability to navigate complex relationships with investors, partners, and customers. At times, the pressure felt overwhelming. But through it all, Vicky and David leaned on each other for support. They had built something beautiful together, and they were determined to see it succeed. But even as they worked tirelessly to grow their business, they couldn't help but wonder, was the pursuit of success worth the sacrifices they were making in their personal lives? As their business continued to thrive, Vicky and David found themselves struggling to balance their personal and professional lives. The demands of their growing platform left little time for romance, and they began to feel the strain on their relationship. They knew they needed to find a way to maintain their connection while still pursuing their professional goals, but it was easier said than done. Late-night meetings, endless emails, and constant travel took a toll on their love, and they found themselves drifting apart once again. Recognizing the growing distance between them, Vicky and David made a conscious decision to prioritize their relationship. They set aside time each week for date nights, weekend getaways, and long walks through the streets of Soweto, anything to reconnect and remind themselves of why they had fallen in love in the first place. Slowly but surely, their bond began to strengthen again. They realized that while their business was important, their love was the foundation upon which everything else was built. With their relationship back on track, Vicky and David focused on taking their platform to the international stage. They began attending fashion and tech conferences in Europe and the US, showcasing the best of African design and innovation to a global audience. Their hard work paid off. They secured partnerships with major international brands, and their platform was featured in top fashion magazines around the world. For the first time, they felt like they were truly making an impact on a global scale. Despite their success, the temptation of wealth loomed large. Investors from all over the world began offering massive sums of money in exchange for a stake in their platform. It was an opportunity that could make them both incredibly wealthy, but it came with strings attached. Vicky and David found themselves facing the same dilemma they had encountered at the start of their journey, whether to chase wealth or stay true to their vision. This time, however, they were more prepared to make the right choice. After much deliberation, Vicky and David made a decision. They would not sell out. They had worked too hard to build something authentic, and they weren't willing to compromise their values for the sake of money. Instead, they focused on building a sustainable business that could grow at its own pace. Together, they faced the challenges ahead as a united front, confident in their ability to succeed on their own terms. As their business continued to grow, Vicky and David found themselves approached by a new investor, this time, a socially conscious venture capitalist who shared their vision for empowering African designers. Unlike the previous investors they had encountered, this one wasn't interested in taking over their business. Instead, he wanted to support their mission and help them scale without sacrificing their values. After careful consideration, Vicky and David agreed to partner with the new investor. With his support, they were able to expand their platform to new markets and reach even more designers across the continent. With their new investor on board, Vicky and David reached a turning point in their business. They were no longer just a small startup struggling to survive. They were a thriving platform with the potential to change the fashion industry on a global scale. Their success attracted attention from major media outlets, and soon, they found themselves being invited to speak at conferences, appear on television shows, and even write a book about their journey. But even as their star continued to rise, they remained grounded, always remembering the struggles they had faced to get to where they were. As their platform grew, Vicky and David became increasingly focused on giving back to their community. They began mentoring young designers, providing them with the tools and resources they needed to succeed. They also launched a scholarship program for aspiring fashion and tech entrepreneurs, helping the next generation of African innovators achieve their dreams. Their commitment to giving back earned them respect and admiration, not just in Uganda but around the world. Just when everything seemed to be going smoothly, an unexpected setback threatened to derail their progress. A cyber attack targeted their platform, putting their data and the personal information of their designers at risk. The attack was a wake-up call for Vicky and David. They had grown complacent in their success, and now they had to deal with the fallout of a major security breach. But instead of panicking, they took immediate action. David worked tirelessly to secure the platform, while Vicky handled the PR crisis, reassuring their designers and customers that everything was under control. The cyber attack was a difficult challenge, but Vicky and David rose above it. They implemented new security measures, hired experts to strengthen their platform, and even used the experience as an opportunity to educate other small businesses about the importance of cybersecurity. Their response to the crisis earned them even more respect from their peers, and their platform emerged stronger than ever. As their business continued to thrive, Vicky and David found themselves thinking about the future, not just in terms of their work, but also their personal lives. They had been so focused on building their business that they had neglected to think about starting a family. But now, with their relationship stronger than ever, they began to consider the possibility of having children. It was a big decision, and one that would require even more balance between their personal and professional lives. With their business thriving, their relationship stronger than ever, and the possibility of a family on the horizon, Vicky and David felt like they were on the cusp of something truly special. They had faced countless challenges along the way, temptations of wealth, the pressures of success, and the complexities of balancing love and business. But through it all, they had remained committed to each other and to their vision. As they looked toward the future, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, united in love, in business, and in life.